Hey everyone, it's Gamefruitpulp, and welcome back to another Minecraft Building Toronto video. I'm really excited to share today's completed build with you because of its importance within the city and its history. Now, you may think that the CN Tower is the most important building in Toronto's history, but there is a small, less noticeable building close by that played a much more important role in shaping the city that Toronto is today. Now, I'm of course not talking about Ripley's Aquarium or the Rogers Centre / Skydome, but what am I talking about? Can you figure it out? What was your guess? Was it this one-story building and park located just south of the CN Tower? I am, of course, talking about the Toronto Roundhouse and accompanying Roundhouse Park. This historic building is one of the biggest additions to our map in all of 2025, not because of the size of the building, but instead because of the size of the park that surrounds it. This area features a massive green space in what is otherwise a built-up city and the plaza squares that sit around it. On our map, this building was a team effort, with almost all of the build team pitching in to help on one of the many different parts of the property. We're going to take a closer look at many of those different interesting parts of the build, but before we do that, I think that you've all come to expect to learn some history about the buildings that we showcase on this series, so let's get into that first. This excerpt on the history of the Roundhouse is from the Toronto Railway Museum's website, a museum that actually sits within this building. On October 15, 1929, the Canadian Pacific Railway's John Street Roundhouse officially opened. As one of Canadian Pacific's largest roundhouses, it operated in the heart of Toronto for almost 60 years. Notably, the Roundhouse complex had hosted over 40 other buildings. For example, the largest turntable in Canada, measuring 120 feet long, linen stores for stocking outbound passenger trains, and administrative buildings set along the tracks. Servicing Canadian Pacific Railway, passenger trains took an all-around-the-clock effort. Thanks to the network of railway buildings and structures, this endeavor was possible. The original John Street Roundhouse, which was built in 1897, was too small for CPR's activities. To keep up with the growing freight and passenger demand in Canada, many railway companies began developing larger locomotives. Consequently, with the increasing size of the locomotives and the rapid growth of the railway industry, repair facilities adapted too. Construction of this present-day roundhouse began in 1925, with the majority of the stalls being built by 1929. Then, by 1931, construction of the roundhouse with its full complement of 32 stalls was complete. However, in the late 1930s, diesel-electric power was replacing steam locomotives. This change began mostly in urban areas where the nauseous clouds of coal smoke were unpopular with city dwellers. Additionally, a steam-powered engine required at least 2 people to operate, an engineer and a fireman, and would spend 8 hours or more in servicing. Above all, the emerging diesel technology was much more efficient. Therefore, railway companies were able to cut staffing and maintenance costs by switching to a diesel-powered fleet. CPR's steam engines were fully retired in 1960. Next, John Street continued to service CPR and Via Rail diesel-electric locomotives for another 20 years until 1986, when the CPR decided to close the facility. After that, the City of Toronto acquired it to use for a railway museum. In 1988, all activity at the John Street Roundhouse ceased operation. During this time, the Roundhouse building was sitting vacant among the developing rail lands. Without the railway network that existed in the City of Toronto during the 20th century, it's quite likely that this city would not have turned into what it is now today. I think that in modern times, within a city like Toronto, the importance of railway transport is often overlooked, mostly because it doesn't play as much of a role in the interior of a vast downtown like Toronto has. But even today, if you look to the suburbs of Toronto, in areas like Etobicoke, the Stockyards, or Scarborough, you'll see a vast amount of infrastructure that is entirely supported by railway transport. Now that, of course, is just talking about freight railway travel. When we look at passenger railway travel within the city, we continue to see a massive growth in the importance of this mode of transportation within Toronto, with thousands and thousands taking regional and long-distance rail in and out of the city every day. Now the rail corridor where this happens, has moved north slightly, away from the Roundhouse and into the railway corridor that we know today, sitting north of the CN Tower. While the Roundhouse doesn't play a role in that anymore, without its construction in the 1920s, I think that this development of rail in the city would have never happened at all. The modern-day Roundhouse fills a different set of needs for the City of Toronto than its original life, now serving as an entertainment hub next to some of the city's most popular tourist attractions. Steps away from the CN Tower, Ripley's Aquarium, and the Sky Dome, we find this building, which now features a brewery, museum, and entertainment bar named Reck Room, which features arcade machines, a bar, and a restaurant. This building is important in its current role because there's not much to do in terms of restaurants and places to go south of this location, so it provides a good stopping place for visitors traveling from the tourist attractions to the north down to the lake and the parks south of the location of the Roundhouse. Before taking a closer look at one of the tenants within the Roundhouse, I want to take a moment to showcase the land around it, because there's also a ton to look at there as well. This park space that sits around the Roundhouse has a number of historical pieces to it, and also a fun ride for children and visitors of the park. There are several historic trains from Toronto's past sitting within the park for visitors to look at and learn about, as well as 3 historic structures from the building's past. We're going to be taking a look at those trains in a separate video, so you're going to have to stay tuned for that. The other interesting part of this property is actually what lies beneath it. The underbelly of this property features critical infrastructure for what sits across the street, the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. Interestingly enough, some of that property actually sits beneath the Roundhouse land, including an area for parking and an area for goods to be delivered by transport truck. Without these pieces of infrastructure below the Roundhouse land, I'm not sure whether MTCC would be able to even function in its current role as a convention centre within the middle of a very busy city. To finish off this video, I wanted to take a closer look at one of the interiors that sits within the Roundhouse. I'll be showcasing another portion, the trains, in the museum in the coming weeks with the builder who did that portion, but for now, let's zoom in on the Rec Room and look at the work done by Sol and Mike to really bring this area to life. For those of you who aren't familiar with Rec Room, it is an adult arcade that features various arcade games, simulators, a few bars, and a restaurant. This location is full of difficult pieces to recreate within Minecraft, and as usual, our build team really blew this one out of the water. Not only are the bars and restaurants within Rec Room recreated in painstaking detail, but the actual arcade machines are also recreated, with most of them being accurate recreations of the real machine that sits at that part of the bar in the real-world version of the build. Now, I know that I say this in every video, but I think I would be foolish to not say it again here too. You really have to hop on our server and check out this building for yourself. The details in the Rec Room, but also in the other portions of the interior, which I'm not showcasing in this video, are once again highlights of our map. In the weeks ahead, I plan on adding some interactive quests and NPCs in the area of the build to give visitors more to do when they make their way south to see this build. For the next couple of weeks, you may also be able to get to the Roundhouse easily by using the quest at spawn that teleports you to our newest completed build, so it will never be easier than right now to get to this area of the map when visiting. For those of you who don't know, you can join our map with a Minecraft Java account at the IP of buildingto.ca. You don't need any mods to join, although it would be a good idea to have some performance aid mods installed if you're able to, because the density of the city does do a number on your computer as you try and explore. That is pretty much it for this video. Our build team has been really chugging away this year. We've now completed on average more than 1 build a week, which is the most we've ever done in 1 year by a large margin. And a big reason for that is the great progress has been the support from you all as viewers. So thank you for your continued support as we work to build the city. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can catch all future videos out on my channel, and check out the playlist with all the previous build showcases from the Building Toronto project. If you are a returning viewer and you enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button to help with the algorithm to hopefully bring some new visitors and members to our community. If you're looking for more ways to connect to our community, be sure to join the Discord channel, and you can always further support the channel on Patreon as well. As we wind down 2025, I just wanted to take another moment to thank all of you for your support of the Building Toronto project and my channel as a whole throughout the year. This has been a great year for our community with lots of organic growth in members and in viewership, so I wanted to thank you all for that. This is nothing more than a hobby for our entire team, so the support from all of you makes that hobby more worthwhile. Alright, well, that is everything. I hope you did enjoy the video, and thank you all for taking the time to watch. My name is Gamefruitpulp, and this has been a Minecraft Building Toronto video. I'll catch you all next time. Have a good one.